Remodeling is as much about the process as it is about the finished result. It's one thing to have a happy customer at the end of a project, but it's a whole other thing entirely to have a pleased customer throughout the process. Working in a remodeling setting, it's even more important the process by which you approach one of your projects, because you're not just working on a job site. Your job site is somebody's home. Being clean, being tidy, producing fantastic quality work, it leads to more referrals and ultimately more profitable work. I'm Tom Gensmer. I'm a builder and remodeler in Minneapolis and St. Paul. Not only does it get cold in Minnesota, but it gets cold for extended periods of time. You can't sit at home for extended periods. You need to be able to continue to produce projects. And the ability to work indoors can be a game changer. Put down your floor protection, you move a few pieces of furniture, you set up your cabinet shop, or you set up a framing station, you set up a sanding station, you set up a painting station, you go to work. One of the Festool tools that sees a lot of use on my projects is the Capex. You can just use those lasers, line it up with your pencil marks, you're not double checking with the teeth, you can just know that, well, that's where it's going to cut. Once you know how to make the cuts, then it becomes, well, how can I make these cuts more efficiently? How can I only have to go to the saw twice instead of 3 times? You really only need to carefully measure your piece once, and if you have 12 of them to cut, you just measure it the one time, set your stop, and then you don't have to measure anymore. My first Festool I ever bought was a Systainer, of all things. I used to have this tremendous hodgepodge of tool bags and toolboxes, and felt like a game of Jenga, trying to get my tools out of the truck into the customer's home and then keeping them organized in the customer's home. And it set the trend for how I've organized since then. Because they're a modular system, it eases the transition from one phase of construction into the next. You can go from framing to drywall to painting to trim out. Pretty linear process. You just, I don't need this box anymore, but I'll replace it with this other box. So you can have a consistent base station that you're working from. It's just a stack of white boxes. It's just what's in those boxes. If you were to ask me a favorite Festool item, it would be the MFT tables. They have proven to be profoundly versatile on a job site. I can utilize them as sawhorses when I'm processing framing lumber. They're fantastic for fully supporting sheets of plywood. They're wonderful for pre-assembling millwork. As often as I get referrals for the quality of the work I do, just as often I get referrals for the care I take when I'm performing the work in a customer's home. Very frequently my customers will comment on how clean it is, and when you're collecting the dust at its source, you're going to keep your overall ambient dust levels down, and then with the efficiency of the CT dust extractors, it's really easy to clean up. It's when you're working those long 10 and 12-hour days that a clean and organized job site becomes that much more important. When you're going to put in a long day, it's important that you're making maximum utilization of that time that you're not spending with your family, and that you're getting maximum production out of that time. I think there's a perception out there that there are these delicate, magical tools that should never be taken out of the shop, and they are tough. They spend their lives out in the snow, in the mist, in the heat. They see a lot of use, and that's why I keep buying the Festool brand, as I know that they're going to hold up to an on-site production environment.